Emma was only 8 years old, but she already had a habit of watching people closely. At school, she noticed things other kids didn't. That day, while children rushed to the lunch tables, laughing and opening their colorful boxes, she saw a boy sitting in the corner of the cafeteria. His clothes looked a little dirty, his shoes too big for his feet, and he kept his head low like he wanted to disappear. Emma sat down with her friends, but her eyes kept drifting toward him. He had no lunch. His hands were pressed against his stomach like he was trying to hold back hunger. Nobody spoke to him, and no teacher seemed to notice him. Emma opened her lunchbox. Inside, her mother had packed a peanut butter sandwich, some apple slices, and a cookie wrapped in foil. She looked at it, then at the boy. He was staring at the table, but every few seconds, his eyes flicked toward the other kids eating. She thought for a moment. Then, without saying anything to her friends, Emma stood up, carrying her lunchbox. She walked slowly toward the boy. He saw her coming and looked away, almost afraid. "Hi," Emma said softly. The boy didn't answer. He only gave a quick glance, his dark eyes wide, like he expected her to make fun of him. Emma set her lunchbox on the table and pushed it a little toward him. "You can have some," she said. His lips trembled. "No," he whispered. "I can't." "You look hungry," Emma said, her voice calm but gentle. "It's okay." She unwrapped the sandwich and held it out. The boy hesitated, then took it quickly, almost like he was stealing. He ate in fast, desperate bites, as if the food might vanish at any second. Emma just sat across from him, watching quietly. When he finished half the sandwich, he looked at her, eyes shining with something between fear and gratitude. "Don't tell anyone," he whispered sharply. "Please. Don't tell." Emma frowned. "Why not?" "You're just hungry." He shook his head so hard his messy hair covered his face. "They'll find me. If they know." He stopped speaking, glancing around the cafeteria like he expected someone to be listening. Then he bent his head and stuffed the rest of the sandwich into his mouth. Emma wanted to ask more, but he stood suddenly and walked away before she could. He left through the back door, moving quickly, not looking back. Emma sat there, staring at her half-empty lunchbox. Something felt strange. The boy wasn't just hungry, he was scared. Scared in a way that didn't make sense for a kid at school. That evening, Emma told her mother only that she had shared her food. Her mother smiled softly and said, "That's kind of you, honey." She didn't mention the boy's words. She didn't know why, but part of her felt she should keep it a secret. The night was quiet in their small neighborhood. Emma was getting ready for bed when she saw lights outside her window. Red and blue flashes moved across the street. At first she thought it was just another car accident. But then she heard heavy knocks on the front door. Her father opened it. 2 police officers stood there, their faces serious, hands resting on their belts. "Mr. Miller," one of them asked. "Yes," her father answered carefully. "We need to ask some questions. It's about your daughter's school." Emma froze at the top of the stairs. She clutched the railing, her heart pounding. The officers looked inside the house. "Is your daughter here?" the taller one asked. Her father's voice grew sharp. "Why do you need to talk to my daughter?" "It's about a boy," the officer said, glancing down at his notebook. "She shared her lunch with him today." Emma's heart skipped. How did they know? Why would police care about a sandwich? Her mother came to the door, pulling her robe tight. "She's just a child," she said. "What is this about?" The officers exchanged a quick look. "Ma'am, please call her down," the shorter one said. "We need to know exactly what she saw, and what the boy said." Emma stood frozen on the stairs, her little hands shaking. She didn't understand what was happening, but deep down, she knew her simple act of kindness had pulled her into something much bigger. And somewhere, in the dark outside, she thought she saw a shadow watching the house. Emma's small feet moved slowly down the stairs. Her parents stood in the doorway, blocking most of the view of the officers, but she could still see the blue and red lights flashing outside. Her father gave her a quick look, the kind of look that said, be careful what you say. She reached the bottom step. The taller officer crouched a little, trying to smile, though his eyes stayed sharp. "Hi, Emma," he said. "You helped someone at school today, right?" "A boy." Emma nodded, her lips pressed tight. "Can you tell us about him?" the other officer asked. "What's his name?" Emma shook her head. "He didn't say." The officers glanced at each other. Her mother folded her arms, voice tense. "She's 8 years old. She doesn't have details for you. Why don't you explain why you're here?" The taller officer cleared his throat. "Ma'am, we're trying to locate a child who doesn't belong at that school. He was seen on the grounds today. It's important we find him quickly." Emma's heart skipped. "Doesn't belong?" She remembered the boy's whisper, "Don't tell anyone." Her father frowned. "Why are police involved in something like this? If he's not a student, call the school." "Not us." The shorter officer's voice dropped lower. "Sir, this boy isn't just missing paperwork. There are serious circumstances. We need to know what he said to your daughter." Emma's mother stepped closer, protective. "She shared her lunch, that's all." The taller officer looked straight at Emma again. "Emma, did the boy tell you not to say anything?" Emma hesitated. She could feel her parents watching her, waiting. She remembered the fear in the boy's eyes, the way he ate as if someone might snatch the food away. She remembered his warning. "Yes," she whispered. The officer leaned in. "What exactly did he say?" Emma's throat felt tight. She looked at her mother, who gave her a tiny shake of the head, as if to say don't. Emma whispered, "He just said, don't tell." The taller officer stood up slowly. His face was calm, but his eyes weren't. "Thank you, Emma. That's helpful." He turned to her parents. "We'll be in touch. Please call us if she remembers more." They left without another word. The police car pulled away, but its lights didn't fade far. It parked down the street. Watching. Waiting. Her father locked the door. "This is nonsense," he muttered. "Why would police care about a hungry boy?" Her mother touched his arm, her face pale. "Because it's not just a hungry boy." Emma went back to her room, but she couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the boy's frightened face. She saw those flashing lights. She saw shadows moving outside her window. Hours passed. The neighborhood was quiet again, but Emma couldn't shake the feeling that someone was out there. And then 3 soft taps on her window. Her heart jumped. She froze, staring. Slowly, she crept closer and pulled back the curtain. The boy was outside, standing in the bushes. His clothes were even dirtier now, his hair wild. His face was pale, but his eyes burned with urgency. Emma unlocked the window. "What are you doing here?" she whispered. He climbed inside quickly, landing silently on her carpet. "They're looking for me," he said. His voice was low, shaky. "The police, the others. You can't trust them." Emma swallowed hard. "Why? What did you do?" "I didn't do anything," he said. His hands shook as he gripped her desk. "It's my dad." He tried to tell the truth. "They don't want people to know. Now they're after both of us." Emma's chest tightened. She was only 8. She didn't understand all of it, but she understood one thing: the boy was terrified, and whatever he was caught in, it was dangerous. "Where's your dad?" she asked softly. The boy's eyes watered. "I don't know. He told me to hide. He said if anyone found me, it would all be over." Downstairs, Emma's father's voice echoed faintly. He was arguing with her mother about whether to call the police back. The boy stiffened at the sound. "I shouldn't have come," he whispered. "They'll find me here." Emma grabbed his arm. "Wait. You can't go out there. They're watching." He looked at her with those desperate eyes. Then what do I do? Emma bit her lip. She didn't know. She was just a little girl with a lunchbox. But she knew one thing for certain: if she told the police everything, the boy would disappear forever. And somehow, deep inside, she knew that would be wrong. Suddenly, a noise outside, the crunch of gravel. Car doors shutting. Heavy footsteps approaching the house. Not just one set. More. The boy's face went pale. "It's them," he whispered. Emma's parents called up the stairs. "Emma, stay in your room." But she knew it was too late. The house was surrounded. The boy grabbed her hand, squeezing it tight. "Please," he begged. "Don't let them take me." Emma looked at the window again. Red and blue lights flickered against her wall. But behind them, in the shadows, she thought she saw other figures, dark, unmarked cars, people who weren't wearing police uniforms. Two different groups. Both closing in. Both after the same boy. And Emma, holding his hand, realized she was standing in the middle of something she could not escape. The pounding on the front door rattled the house. Emma's father shouted from downstairs, "Who is it?" His voice carried both anger and fear. "Police," came the reply. Heavy fists struck the wood again. "Open the door, now!" But as Emma peeked through her window, she saw what her young eyes could not mistake. Two police cars with flashing lights sat in front, but across the street, a black van idled, its headlights off. A group of shadowy figures stood near it, watching. They weren't in uniform. Emma's heart pounded. She looked at the boy. He was pale, frozen, his hand still gripping hers. "It's not just police," she whispered. He shook his head, eyes wide. No, it's them too." Downstairs, her father argued. "Show me your warrant." "My daughter isn't a criminal." The knocking grew harder, shaking the whole frame. "Sir, this is urgent." "Step aside." Emma's mother's voice broke through, trembling. "John, please, just open it. Don't make this worse." Emma knew she couldn't let the boy be seen. She pulled him toward her closet. "Hide," she whispered. "Go, quick." The boy didn't move at first, then ducked inside, pulling the door shut just as the front door downstairs burst open. The sound of boots thundered through the hallway. Flashlights swept across the walls. Her parents shouted angrily, their voices drowned by the commands of strangers in the house. Emma sat on her bed, clutching her blanket, trying to look innocent as beams of light spilled under her door. The knob turned. The door opened. Two officers stepped in. One knelt to her level, speaking softly. "Emma. We need to make sure you're safe. That boy you helped, he doesn't belong here. He could be dangerous." Emma kept her face blank, but inside her chest a storm raged. Dangerous? The boy who had cried while eating her sandwich? The boy who whispered about his missing father? She couldn't believe that. "Did he come here?" the officer pressed. "Did he try to talk to you again?" Emma shook her head slowly. "No." The taller officer narrowed his eyes. He scanned the room, his flashlight hovering over the curtains, the floor, the desk. For a terrifying moment, it stopped at the closet door. Emma felt her breath catch. But then a shout came from downstairs. "We found nothing." The officers exchanged a glance. The taller one sighed. "All right, let's go." He leaned close to Emma before leaving. "If he does come back, you tell us. You understand? You tell us right away." Emma nodded quickly, and the two men left. Boots stomped out of the house. Her father cursed under his breath. Her mother's voice cracked with fear, trying to calm him. And then, after what felt like forever, the front door slammed shut and silence returned. Emma hurried to the closet. The boy was crouched in the dark, shaking. She helped him out, and he collapsed against the wall, breathing fast. "They'll never stop," he whispered. "Not until they find me. Not until they erase everything." Emma's eyes filled with tears. Why? Why are they after you? You didn't do anything. The boy lifted his head. His eyes were hollow, far too old for a child. It's not me. It's my dad. Emma sat beside him, waiting. He pressed his fists into his knees. My dad worked for them, he said finally. A company. Not just a company, something bigger. He said they were doing bad things, hurting people, stealing, lying. He tried to tell the truth. He wanted to show everyone. Emma frowned. Like, a secret? Yes, the boy whispered. But before he could show the proof, they came after us. He told me to run. He told me not to trust anyone in uniform. Not even police. Emma hugged her knees to her chest. The story sounded too big, too dark, but the way he said it, so broken, so scared, she believed him. Do you know where your dad is? She asked. The boy shook his head. He said he would come back for me. But he hasn't. His lip trembled. Maybe they already got him. Emma reached out and touched his hand. You're not alone. I'll help you. For a moment, the boy's eyes softened, as if her words gave him a little strength. But then a noise outside made them both stiffen, the low growl of an engine. Emma crawled back to the window and peeked through the curtain. The black van was still there. Its headlights blinked on for a second, then off. A signal. Her stomach twisted. They're still out there, she whispered. The boy's face went pale again. Then I can't stay. They'll search again. They always do. Emma shook her head. If you go outside, they'll catch you. The boy paced, his small body trembling. If I stay, they'll come back with more. And next time, they'll find me. Downstairs, Emma's father's voice broke through. Emma! Everything's fine now. Go to sleep. She wanted to call out, to tell him the truth, but she couldn't. If she did, her parents would hand the boy over to the police. Or worse, to the men in the black van. Listen, the boy whispered suddenly. If anything happens to me, if I disappear, there's something you need to do. Emma stared at him, confused. What? He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, folded paper. His hands shook as he pressed it into hers. My dad said to keep this safe. It's numbers, codes. He said if I couldn't find him, someone else could. Someone good. Someone who can finish what he started. Emma opened the paper. Lines of numbers, letters, and strange symbols covered it. None of it made sense to her. What is it? She whispered. The boy's voice trembled. Proof. The kind that can destroy them. Emma's fingers curled around the paper. Her heart hammered. She was only 8 years old, but she understood one thing clearly: this secret was dangerous. And now, she was part of it. Another car door slammed outside. Footsteps again. A low voice carried in the night. The boy's eyes widened in terror. They're coming back. Emma shoved the paper into her pillowcase. Stay quiet, she whispered. But this time, she knew hiding wouldn't be enough. This time, the shadows outside wanted more than questions. The night felt heavier than usual. Emma sat frozen by her window, clutching the pillow where the strange folded paper was hidden. Down the street, the black van's doors slid open. 3 men stepped out, moving with slow, careful strides. They weren't dressed like officers, no badges, no lights, no voices calling police. These men carried themselves differently, like hunters. The boy crouched beside her, trembling. It's them, he whispered. His voice was barely audible, but filled with fear. If they get in, it's over. Emma's parents downstairs had no idea what danger was really waiting outside. Her father's voice rose again, pacing, angry about the intrusion earlier. First police barge in here, now strange cars are watching? I'm calling the station in the morning. But Emma knew there would be no morning if those men reached the door. She turned to the boy. We have to hide you better. He shook his head. They'll search everywhere. They always do. My dad said if they ever find me, they'll make sure the truth dies with me. Emma swallowed hard. She was only 8, but she understood enough: if those men got him, he wouldn't come back. Downstairs came a sudden sound. Not the front door. A softer noise. A click, like a window latch. The boy's face went pale. He grabbed her hand. They're already inside. Emma's breath caught. She pulled him toward the hallway, her small heart pounding. They ran down the narrow corridor, feet silent against the carpet. Behind them, the sound of careful steps echoed from below. Her parents hadn't noticed yet. She could hear her mother still speaking, her voice tense. Then, a muffled thud. Her father shouted. A crash. The sound of a struggle. Emma covered her mouth to keep from crying out. The boy's grip tightened on her wrist. We have to go, he whispered. But where? Emma asked. Her voice shook. He looked toward the back of the house. Out. Anywhere but here. They slipped into the laundry room. Moonlight spilled through the small window above the dryer. Emma's father had always said it was too small for anyone to use, but to the boy, it looked like the only chance. I'll go first, he whispered. He climbed onto the dryer, pushed the window up, and wriggled halfway through. He looked back at Emma. Come on. She hesitated. She could hear footsteps coming up the stairs now, heavy and slow, searching. The sound made her chest tighten like a rope around her ribs. With shaking hands, she climbed after him. The boy reached out, pulling her through. Cold night air hit her face as she slid outside. They landed in the damp grass behind the house, hearts pounding. The boy pointed toward the trees beyond the yard. Run. Emma didn't think, didn't question. She ran, her bare feet hitting the ground hard, her breath sharp in the cold air. Branches whipped against her arms as they darted into the shadows of the woods. Behind them, a voice shouted. Flashlights cut across the grass. The men had seen them. Go, the boy urged, pulling her hand. They stumbled over roots and rocks, but they kept running. Emma's small legs burned, but fear carried her faster than she thought possible. The woods seemed endless, every shadow a possible trap. The boy's breath came ragged, but he didn't stop. He seemed to know stopping meant being caught. Suddenly, headlights appeared through the trees, brighter, closer. Another car. Emma's stomach dropped. The boy yanked her to the ground, hiding behind a fallen log. They crouched there, gasping quietly, as the black van rolled down a narrow dirt path nearby. Its engine hummed low, slow, hunting. Emma pressed herself against the wood, praying the men wouldn't see them. She could hear their voices faintly, calm, professional, nothing like police. Just kids, one muttered. Not just kids, another answered sharply. The boy has it. His father passed it on. Emma's heart skipped. They're talking about the paper, she realized. The folded paper hidden in her pillowcase. If they searched her room, they'd find it. The van moved slowly past, then deeper into the woods. The voices faded. The boy exhaled shakily, his eyes wide. They know about the proof, he whispered. If they find it, he didn't finish. Emma grabbed his hand again. We can't go home, she said. Not now. He nodded, eyes wet. Then where? For the first time, Emma felt the full weight of what had happened. One small act, sharing her lunch, had pulled her into a storm bigger than she could understand. The boy wasn't just hiding. He was being hunted by powerful people. And now, because she had helped him, they were hunting her too. She thought of her parents back at the house. Were they safe? Did those men hurt them? The thought made her stomach twist. But the boy tugged her hand again. We keep moving. We don't stop. If we stop, we're done. So they moved deeper into the woods, their small bodies weaving between trees, their breaths sharp in the cold night. Behind them, faintly, came the echo of more engines starting. The chase was only beginning. Hours seemed to pass, though it was only minutes. Emma's legs shook, but she forced herself on. The boy finally slowed near a clearing, his chest heaving. He dropped to his knees. "We can't run forever," he panted. Emma sat beside him, hugging herself. She was scared, cold, exhausted. But she remembered his father's words, passed through the boy: "Don't trust them. Keep the truth safe." Her small voice broke the silence. "We have to find someone good. Someone we can trust. Someone who can stop them." The boy nodded weakly. "But who? Everyone's against us." Emma didn't know. But she knew one thing: they couldn't go back. The world had changed in one night, and now they were running for their lives. In the distance, a dog barked. Then another. Flashlights flickered between the trees, closer than before. Emma's heart slammed in her chest. The boy pulled her to her feet again. "They're here. We run again." And so, with fear pushing them forward, two children disappeared deeper into the night, hunted by shadows that refused to let go. The forest seemed endless, but Emma and the boy kept running until their legs burned and their lungs felt ready to tear apart. Finally, they stumbled into an open field, the grass wet with dew under the pale moonlight. Both collapsed to the ground, gasping for breath. Emma's chest heaved. Her small hands clutched the dirt. She looked at the boy, his face streaked with sweat and mud, his body shaking. They were only children, but the night had pushed them far beyond what children should ever face. For a moment, silence returned. No footsteps, no engines, no voices. Just the sound of crickets and their ragged breathing. "Did we lose them?" Emma whispered. The boy shook his head, still catching his breath. "No. They never stop. They'll keep searching." His eyes glimmered with fear, but also with a kind of tired knowledge. He had been running for longer than she could imagine. Emma hugged her knees. "I want to go home," she whispered. The words slipped out before she could stop them. "I want my mom." The boy looked at her with a mixture of sorrow and guilt. "If you go home, they'll follow. They'll hurt your family to get to me." Emma's throat tightened. She thought of her mother's warm smile, her father's protective voice. Had they already been hurt when the men broke in? She couldn't know. The thought crushed her small heart. "I don't understand," she whispered. "Why us? Why kids?" The boy's voice was soft, broken. "Because my dad trusted me. He said no one else could be trusted. He gave me the truth. Now they need to erase me, erase everything." Emma thought of the folded paper hidden in her pillowcase back home. She hadn't told him yet that she had it. She wasn't even sure why she had kept that secret. Maybe because something deep inside told her it was safer that way. The boy stared at the stars above. "Sometimes I wonder if he should have never told me. If I should have never known." Emma reached out and held his hand. Her small voice trembled. "You're not alone. I'm here." For a moment, in the quiet field, they were just children again, two kids holding hands, clinging to each other in a world too cruel for them. But then the silence broke. A dog barked. Another answered. The sound of branches snapping in the distance. The boy shot up, panic flashing in his eyes. "They're using dogs now." Emma's heart pounded. She could almost hear the low growl of animals closing in. The chase wasn't over. It was getting worse. They stumbled to their feet, running across the field toward the dark line of trees on the other side. Emma's legs screamed in pain, but she forced them to move. Behind them, voices called out, sharp, commanding. Lights flashed. "They see us," the boy shouted. Emma's chest felt like it would explode. She wanted to cry, to stop, to hide, but she knew stopping meant the end. They dove into the trees again, branches slapping their faces, twigs snapping underfoot. The dogs barked louder now, closer, their handlers shouting commands. Emma tripped over a root and fell hard, the breath knocked out of her. The boy turned back, pulling her up with desperate strength. "Don't stop. Please." Her knees bled, her palms stung, but she pushed forward. She didn't know how long they ran, only that every second felt like forever. Finally, through the trees, they saw a light. Not a flashlight, something steady. A small cabin, its windows glowing warm in the night. The boy grabbed her hand tighter. "There. Maybe someone can help." They stumbled toward it, hearts racing. They reached the porch and banged on the door, their fists frantic. The door creaked open. An old man stood there, his face lined with years, his eyes sharp despite his age. He looked from one child to the other, then passed them into the woods. "Please." Emma gasped. "They're chasing us." The man studied them for a long moment, then opened the door wider. "Inside. Quick." They hurried in. The door shut, the lock clicked. The cabin was small, filled with the smell of wood smoke. The man led them to a corner. "Sit. Catch your breath." Emma clutched the boy's hand, shaking. The boy's eyes darted toward the window. "You don't understand, they're coming. They'll find us." The old man crouched in front of them, his gaze steady. "Who's after you?" Emma hesitated, but the boy spoke first. "Bad men. They want to erase everything my dad tried to do." The man's eyes narrowed slightly, as if he understood more than he let on. "You've got something they want, don't you?" The boy froze. Emma's heart skipped. How did this stranger know? Before the boy could answer, headlights swept across the trees outside. Engines hummed low. Voices barked orders. "They're here," the boy whispered. The old man stood quickly. He moved to the fireplace and pulled a lever Emma hadn't noticed. The floorboards shifted with a groan, revealing a narrow space beneath. "Down," he said firmly. "Hide." The children scrambled into the dark space. The boards shut above them, leaving them in pitch black. Emma held her breath. Heavy boots pounded on the porch. A fist banged on the door. "Open up," a voice commanded. The old man's voice was calm. "This is private property. You've got no right here." The door slammed open anyway. Boots thudded inside. Emma could hear the men moving around, their voices sharp. "You seen two kids? A boy and a girl?" "No," the old man replied smoothly. "And if you're searching my place without a warrant, you're breaking the law." One of the men growled. "Don't play games. They came this way." Emma's small hand clutched the boy's in the dark. She could hear the scrape of boots above, the sound of furniture being moved. Every second stretched forever. Finally, one voice said, "Nothing here. Let's move." The boots stomped out. The door slammed shut. Engines roared back to life. Silence returned. Then the boards creaked open, and the old man's face appeared. "Come out." Emma and the boy crawled out, shaking with relief. The man looked at them seriously. "You're in more danger than you know. If you've got proof of something, you need to decide fast who you can trust. Because soon, there won't be anywhere left to hide." Emma stared at him, her small voice trembling. "We just wanted to be safe." The man nodded grimly. "Safe isn't possible anymore. Not for you. Not for him." The boy lowered his head, tears glistening. Emma's heart ached as she realized the truth: they couldn't go back to normal. Not ever. Somewhere outside, a dog barked again. The hunt hadn't ended. It had only paused. And Emma knew the breaking point was coming, the moment where everything would be decided, one way or another. The old man didn't sleep that night, and neither did the children. The cabin felt safe for a short while, but Emma knew the men outside were still searching. Every sound in the woods made her jump: the snap of a twig, the cry of an owl, the whisper of the wind. The boy sat near the fireplace, his knees pulled to his chest, staring at the flames. Emma watched him, her heart aching. He looked too tired for his age, too burdened. Finally, the old man broke the silence. "You should tell me what's going on," he said. His voice was calm, but there was an edge to it, a sharpness that cut through the night. The boy looked at Emma, then back at the man. "They killed my father." He tried to stop them. He wanted the world to know what was happening. The old man's face darkened. "Stop who?" The boy hesitated, his voice shaking. "Cops. Not all of them. But some. They cover up crimes, take money, silence people who speak out. My dad found proof. He gave it to me before they shot him." Emma's breath caught in her throat. She remembered the paper hidden under her pillow at home. The folded sheet the boy had slipped into her lunchbox. She hadn't told him she still had it. The old man leaned closer. "And now they're after you." The boy nodded. His voice broke. "They'll never stop." Emma's hands trembled in her lap. She wanted to speak, to tell them about the paper, but fear sealed her lips. If she admitted she had it, would the boy hate her for not telling him sooner? Would the old man hand it over? The man leaned back in his chair, eyes narrowing as if he were piecing everything together. "Proof against dirty cops," he muttered. "That explains why the chase won't end." The boy buried his face in his arms. Emma reached out, gently resting her hand on his shoulder. "We'll find a way," she whispered. But the old man shook his head. "You don't understand, child. This isn't a game. If you don't put that proof in the right hands soon, they'll bury you both. Permanently." The word permanently chilled Emma's heart. Suddenly, headlights swept across the cabin windows. The hum of engines filled the night again. "They found us," the boy whispered, his face pale. The old man stood quickly. "There's no time. Follow me." He led them to a back door, opening it quietly. Beyond was another narrow path leading deeper into the woods. "Run until you see the river. Cross it. Keep heading east. Don't stop. Do not look back." Emma's heart pounded. "But what about you?" The man gave a small, sad smile. "I'll buy you time." Before either child could argue, he pushed them out the door. "Go!" Emma grabbed the boy's hand, and together they sprinted into the dark woods. Behind them, shouts erupted. Flashlights cut through the night. The cabin door slammed open, boots storming inside. Gunshots cracked the silence. The old man's voice shouted once, defiant, then fell silent. Emma wanted to cry, but the boy pulled her forward. "Don't stop. We can't stop." Branches whipped their faces, roots clawed at their feet, but they didn't slow down. The sound of dogs returned, closer than ever. Finally, they burst through the trees and stumbled into a rushing river. The water glistened under the moon, cold and fast. Emma froze. "We can't cross this." The boy squeezed her hand. "We have to. If they catch us here, it's over." They waded in, the water icy against their skin. It pushed hard against their small bodies, but they fought their way across. Behind them, the barking grew louder. Halfway through, Emma slipped, the current dragging her down. She gasped, choking on water, her small arms thrashing. "Emma," the boy shouted, grabbing her wrist. With all his strength, he pulled her back up. They stumbled together, struggling against the current until, finally, they collapsed on the far bank, coughing and shivering. But there was no time to rest. The flashlights were already glinting through the trees on the opposite side. The men had reached the river. The boy pulled Emma to her feet. "Come on." They ran again, their wet clothes heavy, their teeth chattering. The forest seemed endless, but then they saw something ahead, faint red and blue lights flashing through the trees. Emma's heart leapt. "Police," she gasped. The boy froze, his face twisted with fear. "No. Not them. We can't trust them." But Emma shook her head, tears streaming down her cheeks. Not all of them are bad. My dad said some are still good. Please, we have to try. Before the boy could stop her, Emma stumbled into the clearing. A patrol car sat on the dirt road, its lights spinning. A young officer stepped out, his hand hovering over his holster as he spotted the children. Emma ran toward him, sobbing. Please. Help us. They're coming. The officer's eyes widened at the sight of the terrified, mud-streaked children. What? Who's after you? The boy hesitated, his voice trembling. Bad cops. They killed my dad. They're after us right now. The officer's face paled. He glanced behind them, where flashlights flickered in the distance. For a moment, Emma thought he would hand them over. But then his jaw tightened. He opened the back door of his car. Get in. Now. The children scrambled inside. The officer jumped into the driver's seat, slamming the door and throwing the car into gear. The engine roared, gravel spraying as the car shot down the dirt road. Emma clung to the boy, her heart pounding as she looked out the back window. Dozens of flashlights bobbed in the trees. Dark shapes spilled onto the road, chasing, but the patrol car was too fast. For the first time, Emma felt a glimmer of hope. The officer glanced at them in the mirror, his voice steady but urgent. If what you say is true, we need to get you to someone who can protect you. Not all of us are dirty. But once word spreads that I picked you up, we won't have much time. Emma finally found her courage. She reached into her wet pocket and pulled out the folded paper, the one she had hidden under her pillow, the one she never told anyone about. She held it out with shaking hands. This is what they want, she whispered. The boy's eyes widened in shock. Emma, you had it? Tears rolled down her cheeks. I didn't know who to trust. But now, maybe we can end this. The officer took the paper, his face grim as his eyes scanned the words. His hands tightened on the wheel. This is enough to bring them down, he said quietly. But it'll put a target on all of us. Emma squeezed the boy's hand. For the first time, she felt like maybe, just maybe, they weren't powerless anymore. The car raced into the night, sirens beginning to wail behind them. The chase wasn't over, but the truth was finally out of the shadows. And Emma knew, no matter what happened next, she and the boy had changed everything.